Welcome to the Nevis newscast for Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. I am Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. Leaders of St. Kitts and Nevis on Tuesday, April 19th, paid tribute to the late Ambassador, His Excellency Vance Amory, during a special sit-in of the Nevis Island Assembly. Ambassador Amory was a former member of the Nevis Island Assembly from 1992 to 2017. He was also the longest-serving Premier of Nevis, having held the post from 1992 to 2006 and 2013 to 2017. Members of the Nevis Island administration gave these tributes.
The late former Premier was special to all of us in Nevis, the Federation and the wider region. But he was extra special to St. George, Gingerland. He was our very own, and he would have represented the constituency for 33 years. With his passing, we have lost a part of us. The people of Gingerland are proud that we would have produced one of, if not the most respected and loved individual to walk the streets of Nevis. The late former Premier Amory was admired by many of us in Gingerland for his warmth, charisma, that smile, and most of all, his humility. If there was ever a humble man, it was Vance. He also portrayed himself as one of us, and that he was. Mr. Amory lived an exemplary life and was someone who was always looked up to.
Mr. Amory was one who could speak to just about anybody. And I know that there are many people in Nevis who have had similar experiences with him. Not just Vance Amory, the politician, Vance Amory, the premier, Vance Amory, the leader, but Vance Amory, the simple man, the personable man who could speak to everybody. This was the type of person who he was. All of Nevis, Mr. President, will miss the Honorable Vance Amory. Vance had more family in Nevis than anybody else. And we can all attest to that. We have lost a man in the Honorable Vance Amory, the likes of whom we will not soon see again.
Mr. Amory's definition of service was personal. He knew his constituents by name. He ensured they were taken care of, and oftentimes he did so with his own resources. Walking anywhere in Nevis with Mr. Amory was a journey of love. He hugged, chatted with, and shook the hands of everyone he met along the way. This is a man who spent his entire life in service to others. I cannot recall ever hearing him being charged or accused for any unethical conduct or corruption. For him, it was all about character, decency, and integrity. These were not just mere words. It was his way of life. It was who and what he personified.
Mr. President, today we celebrate the life of a man who came, who saw, who inspired, and who conquered. Today we celebrate the life of a man whom we emulate and whose example others can follow. Today we celebrate the life of His Excellency Vance Winkworth Amory. I believe we can agree that he has done his duty to his people and to his country. And we pray that through the mercy of God, he can rest in peace.
How many of us as public servants, politicians, scholars, cricketers, civil servants, even ordinary citizens are willing to take a leaf, a chapter, or even go with the whole book about the Honorable Vance Amory? I will say go with the whole book because within those covers, you'll find a man who is considered to be imperfect, yes, but in his state of imperfection, he can be seen as a trailblazer, a warrior, a true patriot, a proud citizen of this Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And those are qualities that we must all seek to emulate. Those are qualities that will make this nation a much stronger, a much more vibrant nation. And in Vance's time, he possessed the vim, vigor, and vitality that would have demonstrated to me that Vance was a good man, an honorable man.
I had the honor and privilege of working with him for a number of years, both in opposition and in government, both in government at the Nevis Island level and at the federal level, both in opposition at the Nevis Island level and at the federal level. And there has never been a day since then that I have not been proud of that fact. His life was a portrait of leadership, and he exemplified the qualities of a great leader. His leadership style was always one of inclusion and was consensus-based. Through his personal example, he influenced others, and as his deputy for many years, I felt privileged to be grounded by his wisdom and foresight. As our party and political leader, Mr. Amory put principles above politics. His was to serve a cause greater than his own self-interest. He believed that the opportunity to lead others was an extraordinary responsibility which should not ever be taken for granted. Through his great leadership, he made Nevis stand tall. Indeed, he was an inspiration to us all.
Tributes were also made by former and current members of the Nevis Island Assembly, former Premier the Honorable Joseph Parry, Mrs. Jean Nisbet Harris, Mr. Livingston Herbert, and the Honorable Cleone Stapleton Simmons. From 2015 to 2020, Ambassador Amory served as a senior minister in the federal government. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, former Prime Ministers Dr. the Right Excellency and the Right Honorable Sir Kennedy Simmons and the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas and Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards all recounted their personal and professional relationships with His Excellency Vance Amory. Messages of condolence were also received from Governor General His Excellency Sir Tapley Seaton and Deputy Governor General Her Honor Hailita Liburd. Former Premier Amory passed on the morning of April 2nd, 2022 at the age of 72 years. Meantime, a press release from the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service indicates that the body of the late Vance Winkworth Amory, former Premier of Nevis, Senior Minister in the Federal Cabinet and Ambassador Extraordinary Plenipotentiary, is scheduled to arrive in the Federation on Wednesday, April 20th, 2022. The body of His Excellency will then lie in state at the Parliamentary Chambers, Government Headquarters, Church Street, Bastille, from Thursday 21st to Friday 22nd April 2022. The viewing of the body will take place on Thursday from 9:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. and on Friday from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. Members of the public will be able to file past the casket and pay their respects on the 2 days and during the hours stated. The body of the late former Premier will then be transported to Nevis. Meantime, His Excellency the Governor General Sir Tapley Seaton has issued a notice in relation to the official mourning period in observance of the passing of Ambassador His Excellency Vance Winkworth Amory. According to a press release from Government House, by virtue of the powers in him vested, the Governor General has ordered that the official period of mourning in respect of the passing of Ambassador His Excellency Vance Winkworth Amory shall be Wednesday 20th to Saturday 30th April 2022, both days inclusive. The public is therefore to be guided accordingly. Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley, delivered an address on Saturday, April 16th regarding efforts to resolve matters of national interest in St. Kitts and Nevis. His address came on the heels of 2 meetings in recent weeks among the leaders of the tripartite coalition Team Unity.
The Honourable Sean Richards as leader of PAM and I as leader of CCM, who together have 7 of the 9 seats in the Unity Coalition, jointly wrote to the Prime Minister on Monday, 28 March 2022, seeking an urgent meeting. We finally met in Bastia on Wednesday, 6 April 2022. At that meeting, the parties agreed that we would speak freely and that we would not disclose the content of our discussions until some resolution was achieved. Both the leader of PAM and I set out in extensive detail the serious concerns that we had with the manner in which the Prime Minister was managing Team Unity as leader. We went on to indicate to him our recommendations for ameliorating the position and allowing us to move forward with greater comfort and assurance that the concerns would not only be addressed, but would not be allowed to reoccur. Out of respect for the Prime Minister and the office that he holds, both the Honourable Richards and I agreed that he would need some time to reflect, and a second meeting was convened for Holy Thursday, 14th April 2022.
On Saturday evening, Premier Brantley also discussed the outcome of the second meeting.
The Prime Minister failed and/or refused to address decisively any of the issues raised, choosing instead to suggest that we develop a framework for further discussions, a code of conduct for Cabinet, and inviting the World Bank to study the issue of a pro rata share of CBI proceeds for Nevis. The Honourable Sean Richards and I have delivered a written communication to the Honourable Prime Minister, setting out our position for a path forward. We have taken the unprecedented step of putting a deadline of Wednesday, April 20th, 2022 for a response from the Prime Minister, barring which we can only conclude that he and his team have no interest or desire to save this Team Unity government. We shall therefore know by Wednesday whether we can achieve resolution or whether we face dissolution.
Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley. The following is a notice from the Nevis Electricity Company Limited, NEVLEC. NEVLEC advises its customers that their electricity bills for April will reflect a moderate increase in the fuel surcharge. This increase is a direct result of the recent hikes in the price of oil on the global market and, by extension, NEVLEC's fuel costs. However, in an effort to alleviate the financial impact on its customers, NEVLEC has decided not to bill the full fuel surcharge for the month. Therefore, the amount billed only reflects a portion of the actual fuel surcharge. NEVLEC remains committed to providing its customers with a reliable power supply at a reasonable price. And that's it for this edition of the Nevis Newscast. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Information, I am Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. Thank you for viewing.